Hi everyone, I'm making this very short video to tell you what are the first things you do every morning when the market opens. I have figured out these things lately, so I just wanted to share with everyone, each one of you. Now, here I'll use two things. First is my kite, and second is the NSE website, which you see here. Now, how many of you are aware of the type of indexes which exists? Right? So ideally, most of us deal with Bank Nifty and Nifty. Those are the two widely talked about indexes. But then, if I go to the NSE website and I check for the number of indexes, there are a lot many more indexes. The broader markets, sectoral indices, the thematic indexes, the strategy indexes, and some others. Now, where do I focus? I focus on two major indices types. The first is the sectoral indices. It tells me which sector is performing and which sector is not performing. And then the second is the thematic indices. I'll still focus more on the sectoral indices. Now, why is it important to analyze at the sectoral level? A stock can outperform the sector, but most of the times the sector has to perform for a stock to perform. So rather than going and finding the stock which is outperforming the sector, I would rather find the sector which is performing, and then I would come back to this site and I'll find the stocks within the sector which are performing. So that is how I would do my stock selection. Now this is completely intraday, right? So within a day, I might go ahead and select 5 stocks or 10 stocks and I place those many trades. So what do? I go to my kite, and here if you see, I have about 21 indexes added to this watch list. All right. So this includes Nifty 50 and the sectoral and the thematic indexes I discussed. So here, if I just sort them by alphabet, these are all the indices. All right. So starting from Nifty 50 to all the thematic to all the other sectoral indices. Now, what do I do in the morning at 9:15? I let the first 5 minutes pass so that the market settle down. And then my next step will be to sort this indices list in terms of percentage. I would usually do it in ascending order to see who is performing well in the first 5 minutes. Basically, I'll know which of these indices have had the huge gap, right? Nifty might gap up by, let's say, 100 points. But some indices might not gap up at all, and some indices might give you a bigger gap up. So always focus on the indices first. Now here, let's say this is end of day, right? This is not the first 5 minutes. Pharma performed very well. And if I look at the pharma chart in hindsight, it looks very beautiful, right? So here it is. It started at 9:15 with this red bar, and then the pharma index did not even stop the whole day. It just went. I'll discuss about what indicators I'm using here in the next video, but here the index itself performed very well, the pharma index. But this may not be the case at 9:15, right? So what do? Every chart which I open up shouldn't take me a lot of time to check, right? How it is performing. So let's say I open up the first chart, I see this first 5 minute candle, sorry, 15-minute candle, and I see, okay, it looks like there's an indecision. Let me just zoom in a little. Okay, so looking at the first 15-minute candle, it looks like there is some indecision. So I might not even take a position in pharma in the first 15 minutes, right? Okay, I go to Bank Nifty. I see, all right, no, it doesn't look good either. I go to the private banks. Okay, this didn't look good either. I go to PSUs. No. Okay, so basically the market gapped up and everything just settled down after that. So like this, I'll go ahead and check. But okay, look here. There was one index. Which one is it? It is Nifty CPSC. It gapped up by a lot, but then it settled again. I'm not liking this big spike here, right? So I might not even go for this index. So in this one, I'm just gonna watch each one of these. It takes like 10 seconds maybe in live market to look and understand where they have opened, because in the live market, I will also look where they have opened with respect to my 13 EMA as well as the Super Trend 10.2. So ideally, I would look whether they have opened above these two indicators or they have opened below. Okay. So like this, if I go on checking, right now I'm not finding anything, which has sustained the gap. But if you sort it in live market, even the first result which you get here would have sustained. So let's say for the first 15 minutes, I did not find anything which looked good. So I did not enter any trades. Now, from the negative, from the shorting perspective, if there are candles like this, which have opened below the super trend 10.2 for me, have gone below the 13 moving average, I would rather want to short them on opening, right? So let's say here I identify one index, let's say for example Nifty Reality, because that's the only one which looks red to me right now. I look at these two candles. Now again, reading the candles is an art. So you have to understand that I would not want to trade an index or a chart which has a very large wick. I like full body candles, right? So even this I would rather reject. It's easier to say in the hindsight, but I would rather reject this in a live market because it went till 310 and I'm talking at the index level, but it settled down at 39, which is a big wick, right? So I'd still want to say, reject it. So what do? I go on checking the indexes continuously in every 15 minutes. Okay. Now, after every 15 minutes, when I evaluate them, I look how the next candle has performed. Now, I'm not going to short this Nifty Reality, although it is not traded. I'll come to the stocks. How do I select them? But I'm not going to short anything under the Nifty Reality unless it closes below this super trend 10.2. So it has to fall down gracefully, closing below 10.2, and rather I will go and short here. Okay. So what do? Let's say now, let me just select something random, something which did move today. So Nifty Metal has been performing very good lately. So let me just pull that up. Now let's say here. Here I see that, Nifty Metal, there was a 15th candle completely indecision. Second candle looked positive, third candle looked positive. Okay, so how do I enter my trade? So how do I enter my trade here? I would simply go long at this point. Honestly, I would go long at this point. There are two candles which are closing at their highs. What else are you going to look for? Now, how do I select my stock? I'll go to the NSE website, and since I'm going to trade Nifty Metal, I'll select metals. And here, since I have to go long, I'll try to look for the strongest stock. So I'll sort it by chain. Whichever are the first few, maybe the first three, I'll just take them and I'll add them in my watch list here. So let's say it was NMDC, and I'll just take the futures because I trade futures. Vidal and sales, Vidal and sale. Okay, so I just took first three because I want to go long. That's what my sector tells me. Right now, let me launch this. Okay, so when did I take this trade? I took this trade after the third candle, right? So somewhere at this point. So now I'm looking at these three candles in NMDC and it looks very good to me, very strong to me, right? So what do? I go long here. Or maybe I'll be somewhere in the fourth candle when I take the trade. So I might go somewhere within the body of this candle. I will go long. Okay. Now, what are my positives when I go long in NMDC? Firstly, it is at the top Donkin channel. So that's one positive for me. Secondly, it is trading above the 13 moving average. That's second positive, and it is above my super trend 10-2, which is the third positive. So I'd go long rather somewhere at 165 or something. All right. Now, where's my stop loss? My stop loss is this. The super trend 10-2 is my stop loss. And this moving average, I use to understand the price variation across the previous 13 candles, right? So if it comes near the moving average, I get a little conscious, I get a little alert that it might go ahead and hit my stop loss, but I would still maintain it until it hits or closes below the super trend 10.2. But let's say I just traded this and I bought it at, I would assume, at a higher level, I'll say let's somewhere around 166 mid of the fourth candle, and it went below, it went to 164.5. What's the lot size of NMDC? Around 6,700.